It's over. Yeah.
Okay, you guys should be live.
Yeah.
Apologies for my lack of promise. I have great intentions,
Sorry,
as do we.
okay,
Is Sophie on?
Well, not really. No, it's actually slower than it has been. A little bit.
He said I don't have. one.
go ahead and start.
All right.
Or not, I'll send it to her. Yeah, I'll send it to them. Good.
Right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the June Harbor Committee meeting. Thank you all for coming. We have a simple agenda, I guess I'd say, a straightforward agenda today, so hopefully we do it fairly quickly. Sophie Romana, our select board liaison, has been joined by a Zoom, so she is, and she has another meeting right on the heels of this one, so I'm gonna sort of take a few things out of order on the agenda today. But before we do, as I always say, this is a public meeting, minutes are being taken. It is being recorded on Zoom and YouTube and every other technology you can think of. If you have questions or comments, please direct them to me and we'll try to keep things orderly in that fashion. Yeah, welcome. All right, I am going to, as I said, I am going to take these out of order because the meeting minutes, for instance, I don't see the need to do that. I know you guys all have to work and most do as well. Let's do public input on non-agenda items. Do you have any of those? Okay. All right, hey, look at that, got one thing done already. Well, actually, let's just, Sophie still has not chimed in yet, and I don't think she cares too much about the meeting minutes. Did anybody get a chance to read either the March 22nd or the May 10th meeting minutes? I've taken separately, March 22nd, do I have any?
I have one, I know there was two things you said on the 22nd, but one is Sophie's last name ends in an A, not an O.
Okay.
And I can't change it because you did them.
Oh, right.
And you send it as a PDF. And there was something else, I forget. Probably have it in my notes.
All right, if it's something minor like that, we can certainly update that.
That's not minor.
Her name.
Yeah, the select person's name.
We have a motion on March 22nd minutes.
Approved.
Motion, any second?
Second.
Bruce seconds, any further comment? All those in favor of the March 22nd meeting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Got five. Got five voting members.
And then the May 10th meetings, and thank you, Elliot, for running that meeting. I did watch the video.
You're welcome.
And the minutes looked awesome, so. Any comments on the May 10th meeting? Are you there, Sophie? Are you joining?
I am. Thank you so much. Janice tried to trick me by sending me invalid Zoom links.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're just finishing the meeting minutes, so that's the exciting stuff.
I know.
On the May 10th meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Mark, thank you. Second, anybody? Anyone, don't jump at once. I need a second. Thank you, Elliot.
Second.
Further discussion on the May 10th meeting minutes. All those in favor?
I don't think I was here.
Did you hear? Yeah, you weren't here, were you?
I don't think I was here.
There's only 3 people
I
here.
can't remember what you.
You weren't here, Bob Perkins.
Because it went much smoother.
Because we missed you so much.
So that one is that's a 3-0.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay.
And Josh, if I may, in the minutes, I had committed to giving the date of the planning board select board meeting, and it's going to be June 28th.
June 28th, yep, we got that one, thank you. And we fixed, just so you know, we fixed your name in the March meeting minutes. Apparently, I gave you a different last name, so. Sorry.
Did you give me a different husband too?
Okay, so then we're here to discuss the transfer of the commercial passenger vessel agreement for Lazy Jack 2. Sean O'Connor has been doing great service for many years in the harbor and is now proposing to sell his vessel to Nicholas.
Josh, just to clarify, maybe we should just clarify who the voting members are.
Oh,
for
good
the
point.
meeting.
Mike, we have 5 voting members. So we have 5 voting members today. So
That's me.
Elliot, myself, Mark, Bob and Bruce. So Tom is an alternate in case. Yeah, you're right, if you designated the alternate. So you guys got the memo. So just the way this kind of came to us, Audra and the town manager's office prepared this memo for the select board. They noted that these do usually go to the harbor committee, transfer of licenses, before, just so that we can give a recommendation on that transfer. So this is all the information that was provided to the select board presenters packet. But since we have both the new and soon to be former owners, do you guys want to come up and say a few words? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah,
Grab that, just press the big green
Sean
button.
O'Connor, the owner and the builder of the Lazy Jack for the past 25 years. And found myself having opportunities with the state ferry to further my career, plus to get up into the wheelhouse as captain and like to pursue that. Can't do both. And I've Nicholas working with me for over the past year now as a captain. Very good captain, has experience with windjammers and running the Appledore as well. Trust him wholeheartedly with my baby, with my vessel. It's not something you just turn over to just anyone. And so I think he does a really good job as a professional captain down in the harbor. Takes care of the guests, very amiable to work with. It's hard to find good people these days, so you find one, you try to hang on to them. And so I've reached that point in my life that I'd like to move on to further my career and pass off the Lazy Jack to another professional captain. And with your approval, hopefully we can do that with an easy motion. And that's kind of what I'd like to do if it's possible.
You will be missed in the harbor.
But spent most of my life working out of Camden Harbor many years now, so I will greatly miss it, and I'll be around a little bit too.
From the adventure. days.
Yeah, a lot of years since the 1980s.
Sean, can I just ask maybe just a farewell shanty for the guy?
What ferry are you gonna be working on?
I work them all. Yeah, they put me wherever
You
they
get
need
to-
somebody. Yeah. Yeah, I do them all. Yeah, so that's kind
Do
of
you have
fun.
any free time to, relieve Skipper? If,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, my hand. Yeah, that's kind of the plan.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks, Sean.
you're welcome. Any other questions?
I just have a question for Josh.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of standard or ordinance that we're meant to keep in mind while we do whatever we do this morning?
No.
Okay,
No,
That's reassuring.
we are just, the select board asks for our recommendation on any license transfer and or like that. So, These guys were nice enough to come and, we, want to find out about what their proposal is, if they're making any changes, things like that.
There's no changes, actually, it's just basically a different name,
Yeah.
owner, scheduling, everything's the same, so there's no disruption. All the same as it.
Is it staying the same?
Yes. Oh,
Good.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna leave that out. Awesome. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Yes, Tom.
One question, has the sale been finalized?
No.
Not yet, so we're waiting on your approval. Everything's set to go. I just need to make the phone call and then we'll close.
Pending.
Yeah, insurances, everything is ready to go. Everything's just waiting for approval.
You can understand, I can't take on the lawn without
Yeah.
knowing that I can operate.
Grab that mic. If you would.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nicholas Kodros. I go by Gus. That's what my friends call me. They see call me Gus. You had asked a little bit about my story and my background. I started out working on these replica ships called the Nina and the Pinta. And I did that for 3 years, completing America's Great Loop. So circumnavigating the eastern United States, Great Lakes, river systems, and the Gulf Coast, East Coast. And in my travels, that brought me to Camden, and I fell in love with it. And I knew that I was going to continue my story here, and ended up working Windjammers, Stephen Tabor, Schooner Ladona, for 3 years, 3 seasons down there. Then I became a captain Schooner Appledore for 3 years, between here in Key West. And then became friends with Sean and started working with Lazy Jack, and this is a wonderful opportunity, and it's really my dream to become a captain and own a boat here in Camden. So I hope with approval that we can move forward with Lazy Jack.
What's your specific, how long have you been with Lazy Jack, and from the point of view of, the ropes of how it's been done?
Yeah, so I ran the entire last season, pretty much 5-6 days a week for Sean. I'm pretty familiar with how it operates, and yeah, shouldn't be any bumps in the road there.
What Sean mentioned, but I just want to hear from you. You're not going to change the schedule or anything?
I do not intend to do that. There is an hour and 15-minute sunset sail that I would like to maybe take advantage of it at some point, which is already in the schedule.
That's your
for Lazy Jack.
8:15 or something.
It's like 7:30 to 8:45 or something. I forget. Yeah, I may in the future try to capitalize on that, but not making any major changes. No. Just trying to keep everything the same.
All right.
Are you gonna operate a table?
Yeah, we do have a booth which is up to the standards of the harbor rules there, and yeah, we'll maintain that. Absolutely.
Awesome.
So just for clarification, I mean, we make the recommendation to the select board. We don't approve it and you're set, right?
I understand.
The select board is looking for our recommendation
And they have a meeting on
and it's up to
Tuesday,
them.
this upcoming Tuesday, where I believe they're gonna take this up. But they did ask, yes, for our recommendation, just like we do with every license, because this is a transfer of an existing license. Lazy Jack does have their license is current, and so this would be to take over the remainder of that term.
Yeah, when's the term up? The next
Well,
I
year?
think it's no.
Yeah.
We're in a 3-year cycles now.
Right, but
Yeah, I'd
we did
like
that
to
a couple years
discuss
ago. I
that.
thought.
It is for this one, it was approved in January, that's when
Oh, okay.
all licenses were approved, so.
Yeah,
So it's been 3 years.
It'll be
All
3
right,
years,
all right.
yeah, essentially.
Well,
2.5.
No, that's,
yeah, I'd like to discuss that.
Yeah, before we do that though, I just want to hear from Steve
Yeah.
in terms of, the operation, with every vessel, we do these transfers, we ask for your you do your annual review, we have a little, some criteria that we came up with about the pump out and all the rest of it. So I just want to kind of hear from you about how it's gone with Lazy Jack in the past, for your review.
Yeah,
You maybe know Nick or Gus,
yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting Gus. He ran, like you said, all last year, no issues, no problems. He probably advised by the no wake zone and the speed in the federal navigable waterways more than other boats that I know.
Not that you're staring at anyone.
No, I just had a prick in my neck, that's all. You know, to refresh, you know, you remember, as far as the pump outs, they all basically systematically come and say, either they come to the dock where they can pump out by themselves, or they'll ask my operator to come out. Yeah, never heard an issue, a complaint from that vessel from anyone. And just to refresh your memory, just like in Nugent's, sold the vessel to Aaron, who's here. I remember that day, this board, elected to advise the select board to go ahead with it. And then when the select board did that night, I remember Aaron, we walked outside and Aaron said to me, well, I guess now it's time I gotta sign some scary papers. Remember him saying that to me? So it's the same thing. You know, these guys, you can't expect these gentlemen to do this unless they know there's gonna be a smooth transition, because it's with both of the money, it's the fact that they can run out of family in the dock.
Sophie, did you have any questions? At this point, no.
I don't have any questions. I'm looking forward to the discussion that we're having, because I think this is the first time we have to deal with a license transfer. So I just want to look forward to the discussion, what people have to say about it and how we're going to handle this.
Mark, you raise a comment.
I do. You know, one issue I have is the powers to be pay attention to detail in parking. And the fact is, right now, you get a $50 ticket if you don't park in the lines. Now, these are the same people that have reviewed this agreement, which is dated 2023. And in that agreement, it's got a termination date of 2022. So, I mean, we've got very well-paid staff, and this is the attention to detail we get. But yet they're going to hold patrons of the town responsible for parking over the line for $50. That's all I have to say about that.
I'm sorry, I failed to see the relationship between those two things.
It's
Can you help
attention
me
to
understand?
The relationship is the attention to detail. And this
But
contract.
the parking. Go ahead, finish. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
That's it.
Mark, where are you seeing the expiration date on this?
Paragraph 2.
Paragraph 2.
December 31st, 2022.
Yeah, I looked at the wrong thing.
It's the lease agreement.
Well, it looks like that.
Yeah, there we go.
Paragraph 2.
Ah,
I forgot the boy.
You know, and the point is, I mean, how many people have reviewed this agreement? Right? The town manager, the select board, the harbor master, the town attorney.
Okay, so Mark notes a valid
Which then brings up the question, I mean, what about all the other day sailor agreements do they have correct dates on them?
That should I check in about 15 minutes.
Is that
Probably
typewritten
not.
date or handwritten?
type. It's clear, I mean, it appears that this was, yes, this was not.
I think what happens is that we take old agreements and we change this timing date, so we don't check. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
We need to pay more attention. I don't disagree.
I think it should be, basically, this should be, in the future, these should be blanks. And then the dates get filled in as opposed to.
Written
Yeah.
in.
It's actually typed in.
Well, either that or just read the agreement you approve.
Alright,
Yeah.
so I think that's definitely worth noting, Mark. Any other discussion, questions?
I have a question for
Elliot.
Gus. How do you foresee staffing for your operation this summer?
Well, I've got some returning employees, but the ticket booth, it's been kind of difficult to find people. It's tough to find people right now, but I anticipate we should be able to pull it together and make it work. I'm hoping and praying for that. So if you know anybody that wants some tickets, then I'm not.
Awesome. Yeah, somebody else. We have a motion, open on.
Just regarding the termination date. When we get around to creating this motion, can we simply correct it to the appropriate date, or
Sounds like you've got.
just so it's in?
It sounds to me like you've got the beginning of a motion.
Remind me, what is, these agreements, did we end up with
They're-
3-year agreements that have annual reviews?
3
Yeah.
years. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So it should be 26?
It commences, so this would have commenced on January 1, 2023,
Okay, so it ends
It is.
December 31,
2020.
5.
Next
Right.
dates on this.
Right.
On the
That's
paper
2
we have
years.
in front of us is in fact over 2 years.
No, it's not.
Because of.
Oh, okay, yes, it is, okay.
That'd be
yeah.
2020.
I had to count that out.
2020.
Yeah.
25.
so if it's 3 years, it started January 1, so 3, 4,
20,
December 31, 25.
Okay.
Well, 23 is the start, then 24, 25, 26, it would be, it was 3 years.
It'd be 20, the.
Oh, wait a
The
minute.
calendar year 2023, the calendar year 2024, and the calendar year 2025.
Terminating on December
December
31st,
31st,
Sorry.
2025.
2020.
So, sorry, Tom, I cut you off there.
No, that's, I was just asking the question, can we make our motion contingent upon that being corrected to the date that it should be?
Sure, we can, and I think.
So that it's not.
Yeah.
Be updated.
Just simple as that.
But-
Yeah.
Simple as that. Easy to do. I have a question though, and it's probably because I'm still new at this. I feel I'm going to be new forever at this. But here's my question. So if we transfer the licenses with the boats, what happens if somebody wants to use the licenses and the berths with the boats? What happens if somebody wants to change berth, or how do we manage those spaces and boats and licenses? Because it seems to me that this is like a closed circuit, right? So if we transfer nobody has a chance to actually bid on that berth, correct? Because that's also part of the deal.
Well, no, actually, it's not, Sophie. In reading through this is actually, this is a business license. So this is a license that allows this day sailor to conduct business from the public landing. That's why they have the public landing day sailor addendum. So they have essentially a commercial passenger vessel license, which allows them to sort of do business in Camden as a commercial passenger vessel. That's one of the 7. And then it specifies where they can do business, where they can load passengers. That's the only thing it covers, is where they load passengers. Their berth and all that, that's a totally separate.
That's a separate thing.
Separate thing. It's not covered in this arrangement.
So I think.
And that berth
Sophie-
is
So.
Go ahead.
I think what you're looking for in the harbor ordinance, it says. Preference will be given to current day sailor owners who have abided by the ordinance. I think that's what you were looking for.
Because this
Okay.
is about allocating those seven licenses.
The 7, yeah.
And it's sort of like how to get into those, and that's exactly like Mark said, that preference is given to existing businesses, existing operators.
And preference is given by Pixley, by the Harbor Committee, by the Select Board. Who has the privilege over that preference?
I mean, again, I think it's, we make the recommendations based on the ordinance to the select board.
I'm glad you brought that up, so, because that raises another issue in this agreement, all right? It refers to Camden. You know, notice shall be given to Camden. Who is that? Is that Camden Harbor Master, Camden Select Board, Camden Harbor Committee, Camden Town Manager? It's just, that's the way. it's been written. It's very vague.
Well, I think to Sophie's question, and my sense of this, I'm not reading the agreement on this question, but that on the 3-year cycles, if someone else wanted to come in as an operator with a different boat, they can initiate that conversation and then the preference language kicks in. But that it's not, I don't think the preference is being given to, or the concern is the particular owner. It's that there are certain vessels that have been operating there, the public expects to operate there, that sort of are able to work together, size, et cetera. So I think that if someone wanted to get on the dance card, they would get on it at their annual review cycle, not when someone's selling a boat that somebody else would bring a different boat in to fight for that spot.
Yeah, and that's happened in the past. You know, we've had other operators that either didn't operate or had, you know, other things come up. And so then other people sort of said, well, wait a minute, there's this other license we would like to buy for that. We'd like to talk about that. And that's how Periwinkle came in, et cetera. So there is a process that has been in place. And I think you're right, Bob, that that's written in terms of preference for existing to recognize what the harbor has been. I'm sensitive to Sophie's comment about, you know, how do people get into this? And there is a provision for that. There, you know, anyone can apply. I can come in with whatever I want, but it's also a reflection of recognition rather that Lazy Jack has been here for 25 years in Camden Harbor. And is part of the harbor, so let's not discount that. Yep. Did you have
Because
something?
I'm thinking, for instance, Hesper, you know, who's going to be just anchoring, picking up passengers, but Hesper could potentially, you know, want to be in the harbor.
They
Or
could
a
ask-
boat like Hesper. I mean, sorry,
they could-
I have no knowledge of Hesper wanting to be in the harbor, but I'm thinking, to me, that's the type of boats that could potentially want to be in the harbor as well. So how do we don't have a completely closed off process so that no new boat can apply?
I don't think we do have a closed process because we do have a procedure where people can apply, you know, if Esper or any other vessel wants to.
If there's a spot, yeah.
Approach the town about, well, they have 7 licenses, you know, the town has 7 licenses to do business off of town property. That's the ordinance, that's pretty clear.
And
So
and if you have a license, you need to expect to continue that license or else your business.
Right, and that's why that's one of the reasons why we went with the 3-year, it was to give, add some stability to these businesses. With the recognition that every 3 years, I mean, every year, partially, if you're not playing nice, if you're not a good working well with others and stuff, that's where Steve's review, the harbor master's review comes in. But if everyone is working well together and the harbor is operating harmoniously, then the presumption is every year you'd be up. And then in the 3rd year, we have a more formal review. That's why we did this.
So good. And on the second point or other point, when the notice should be given to Camden. So I think what works organically basically is that Steve Pixley is made aware that somebody's not going to renew, right? And he tells us, he tells Audra, who tells the select board. But it might be worth our while to at least have it transcribed in the minutes of this meeting, what the process should be, and maybe change the ordinance to have a clearer process if we feel that we need a clearer process. But I leave that up to you.
It's not the ordinance, it's the agreement, the way the agreement is written.
So we can change that.
I haven't looked at the agreement, but I think it's an issue for the select board. And I would think that most agreements would normally have a notification clause, usually at the very end, that basically says, notice to Joe should be sent to such and such, and notice to the town is whatever. And so it's specified usually in an agreement.
And also the minutes would say that there was a discussion. It wouldn't go into point by point as to what the
I know.
discussion.
I know. So, but anyway, is this something, so we can address that in the new, we can review the agreement. I can work with Audra and Janice on that, and Bill Kelly, you can put that on my docket. You
Congratulations.
can put that in the minutes. I'm happy. I'm all for clarification and clarity of processes and understanding who does what when. I think it works to all our benefits. So thank you so much for the discussion. I really appreciate it.
I'll make a motion if you want,
I'd love one.
that we recommend that the select board approve the transfer of the license with the agreement being amended to end on December 31, 25.
2025. Yeah.
We have a motion. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Mark second. Thank you. Further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Gus and Sean. Congratulations, Gus. You pass this step, you have to still the select word.
Yeah, but it's gonna be,
Or you were sworn in as a voter or not sworn in?
No, I
Still
still, you
have
were
to
that.
Yeah, we have
have
5.
five.
voters, yeah.
So guys, just know this will be the or tomorrow, or whenever the select board meeting will be the second happiest day of your boat owning life.
That's right.
The happiest day is still to come.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. Thank you very much, guys, for that. I did want to hear from Steve on Harbor Masters report. What's going on in the
Harbor Masters report. It's an exciting time for Camden. There's a whole new energy down in the wharf. Mostly because there's a whole new wharf. I just get it even from people who've never been here. They feel it. They're like, there's just good energy here. And mostly because I'm sort of looking too. That doesn't hurt.
That's one of them.
And affable. I'm very affable, as you know. We had a little less than normal mooring transfer this year, which I was not upset about because that takes a lot of my time up. I think it was approximately 10 to 10 moorings. A lot of folks were late, and I still think there's gonna be 3 folks that have lost their mooring because they didn't pay the right time. So that's yet to happen. I'll still have to transfer those. They can appeal, but I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. It's only once has someone on you guys and said, here's why, and for some reason, you guys actually, this board turned over that decision to take away the mooring. That being said, I'm actually gonna be putting in 2 new 30-foot moorings in today over just next to Armstrong Pier. We looked and where Yonic Solutions had 2 moorings, there was 2 big spaces that were, and I've seen them the last like 4 years, and so we're capitalizing. 2 Harbor Marine is gonna help me manage and move a couple small boat moorings, 6 feet this way, 4 feet that way to make 2 spots. So we'll do that today.
Will those be town-owned moorings or will you sell the beer to the person that takes it?
Those will go right to folks on the waiting list.
Okay, and then they pay the town back for the gear.
So the same thing as all the other moorings, except for one. The town has 1 mooring that we own, and we use that to see. But usually we're putting the fireworks barge on that. Now we let a couple people use it here and there. So, but yeah, these 2 moorings will go right into the actual, to the folks on the municipal waiting list, and that's how they'll be.
Where is Armstrong Pier?
That's that big, Elliot, that big white pier, the private pier, just to the left of Steamboat Landing.
With the white railing.
Big railway, yeah.
Gil raised.
Here's old place.
Yep, it's just as you're getting to the cove. My staff is almost about to jump into full mode.
Are you fully staffed? Do you have everything?
I have everyone, yep, same crew as last year.
Nice.
The bathroom, public bathrooms, which my department took over 2 years ago, that's been just getting a slew of vandalism, it doesn't stop. The latest thing was someone ripped off, both of the top automatic towel dispensers. I don't know who would do that, but usually it's overnight and during the weekend, so I'm guessing it has to do with intoxication, and it's just a guess though. The police chief is helping me to look at some inexpensive cameras, so we can at least get some surveillance on that area.
Is that facility locked at night?
No, that's the select board wanted to have that open 24/7. about
Yep.
3 years, about 3 years ago. I would like to talk about maybe making a thing where we say for weekends, we shut it down. If we can't get this to stop, but that's just something that I can talk with you guys and you guys can advise the select board, but we'll talk about that. I'm always optimistic. I'm thinking that, you know, we're trying to paint it up, make it look nicer, more presentable, so folks kind of get in there and just see that, oh, this isn't, you know, I mean, I have artwork in both the men's and women's. I have a Buckley Smith in the men's and Colin Page has said he's gonna do a mural in the back where the stick is. If you notice, when I've been in there lately, I painted that, the brick that had old graffiti on it, I painted it nice and white, because he said, you know what, if you paint that all white, I'll come and do something. Wow. So that's kind of excited about that. They're good bathrooms and I've got a great staff, so
Is the vandalism happening at night?
yeah, it's at night.
It's always at night.
If you don't get cameras, at least get a sign that says it's game.
That's right, that's right. Well, if you're drunk, you might not read those signs.
The summer.
We've had a citizen suggestion to install lockers along the harbor side of that public head building. Is that being considered or is that going anywhere?
You know, I'd like to discuss it more to see who those lockers would be for.
I think the citizens that originated from the discussion about the day sailors and windjammers and their tables and storage capability.
Yeah, that's something to talk about. With the new touch tank going in. You know, we've been kind of concentrating on that. We still have the two idea.
Where's this touch tank going?
Yeah, where's that?
The touch tank is gonna go just to this. You're looking at the water just to the right of the harbor master's office. If you notice, go down there, they took 3 parking spots away and it's one big box now. And they're gonna have a touch tank and there's gonna be people managing it.
What's a touch tank?
It's like a tank where you actually have live creatures in and there's someone talking about the ecology of the harbor and
They took three parking spaces for that?
they did.
Oh, wow.
More than that.
I didn't hear Congress allow that.
Yeah, no, this is coming from the powers to be. This isn't some willy-nilly thing. These folks have taken a long time to go to the select board over the past 2 years. Talk about what it's gonna give the community and the select board definitely had a lot of discussion on whether or not they should do that, because I think the select board, as though everyone else knows how precious parking is down there. And I think it's a good idea myself.
Yeah, I'm unaware of it.
The issue also is that the select board, I mean, the town of Camden doesn't have a public policy on the public landing usage. And so I would very much like that, you know, in the next, if we could have a coherent public landing usage policy, because we've had several requests in the past few months, even last year, between Mark, who wanted to have a lobster shack there, Harbor Dogs, who wanted to sell retail alcohol, and a touch tank. And I think we need to have a more comprehensive approach so that we can manage people's expectations and also take advantage of the public landing for commercial use. So I think maybe let's see if that's something we can do with the next select board. But I think that's also what we need, because people come and they ask us for a space to do X, and we actually don't have a leg to stand on to answer them. So hopefully it's something we can work on.
And on the same subject, a lot of harbor users have come to me in the last month and requested that I mentioned to this board that is there a way we could open up a discussion for harbor users, and we'd have to discuss what that is. If that's someone who has a mooring, or do they have to have something more like a windjammer permit? But they want to make it so with the technology age that we're living in, where the new app, you can pay for parking. They want to know if somehow we can make it so they could put their plate number in, and before Memorial Day weekend, if they are able to park for free. This is mostly people that working on the boats with tools and cleaning supplies, and instead of parking up somewhere and then having to go, oh, I forgot my whatever tool, they've got to walk back up to get it, even though they're trying to work on the boat. And this is a time when there's not much need for parking yet before Memorial Day. So it'll be a discussion that you guys could maybe talk about if you think you could do that for the folks.
Well, that, I mean, Sophie, isn't the pay parking that's going on this summer, isn't that the last year of the test system?
The pilot.
pilot system,
Yeah.
so maybe if the pilot system is extended, then maybe we could have a broader discussion about the other users and how it ties together.
Underneath the list.
What about, Steve, what about, summer traffic? You have good reservations for the summer? How's it looking?
My reservation's a little bit down,
Huh?
from the past.
Last summer was off the charts, right?
But the last summer was definitely high, and the season before that was high. And it seems like it's curbed a little bit. And I'm not saying, that who knows, maybe folks are gonna be a little more willy-nilly with their, let's call up and go. But yeah, we're a little low for right now. We're still, but now that the Sarah Thorpe, who's was my assistant, she's gonna be, for 3 days a week, she's gonna be on Curtis Island, and she's gonna be the interim, Curtis Island lighthouse keeper. So we're working out how she's got her own boat, she borrowed the whaler a couple times because she had to get propane on. The town manager and myself went out for a look to see the condition of the building and the trails and stuff, and we also had a meeting with the contractor because the roof has to get done this summer. The goal is to get the roof completely done, and then after that, we talk about putting new clapboards on. So that's in process.
Cool. Anything else? Whatever we need to know about?
I have a question or a comment. I just was launching a rowboat over at the steamboat landing, and I see all of the excellent looking Band-Aids. And I guess, what's the thought about how long that is gonna serve us? Because I was below half tide, but if I didn't drive down the eastern side of the thing, my car was gonna ground out probably still on some of the topsy-turvy locks, and I just thought, geez, this looks worse than my memory. Not because you haven't done it, it just, we had the conversation about doing some real thing, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking between the floats and the stonework, it doesn't look like we have all that long.
No, good question. So after the big storm, we fixed it once, and then another storm came, the public works came and we fixed it again. So right now I'm working with FEMA a lot, for the December storm. Mostly that's all on the wharf because we have to fix that. I literally talked to Chief Farley and said, should I pull the trigger and get, because we had Dan Ford give us a quote, what it would cost to put all new, concrete planks in. And he said, I'd wait on that if you could, because FEMA basically works with this federal, I'm working with the federal now. Well, I'm almost done, and once they say everything's good, you've done everything the way you're supposed to, all the paperwork, we're gonna now give the state that money, and the state's gonna dole that out to you. So next, I've got to go with a young woman named Sarah, and I'm gonna have to go through the process again. Here's what I did, here's my contract, here's my bills, and they're gonna say, hopefully, okay, here. That's gonna pay the town, because we have about $179,000 into this new rebuild right now. There's another process called mitigation. You can fix it the way it was, and they're happy about that, but at the same time, FEMA doesn't wanna, watch someone fall down, a drunk person fall down, help them up and watch them fall down again, help them up, watch them fall down. So they'll actually pay money to do a bigger fix. If you can prove to them that that's the mitigation process is good. So we're in the process now of getting Gartland Dorsey in there and a couple other people and say, how can we make it so this is more resilient? Maybe bigger, because how big those concrete slabs are. Maybe we can find a company that
They
is
still get tossed around.
well, if you can get ones that are twice as big and somehow, or just pour one big slab of concrete. Because if you notice halfway down, they almost look perfect.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you got really low tide, you're like, geez, look at those. They look just almost,
It's like the bed.
they put them in, they're perfect.
Yeah, then you slide on the slime, but other than that.
Exactly. But the reason the top part is because it is on average getting hammered, 3 times more because it's exposed more. So we're in the process of that. And then once we find that out, I'll bring that to you guys on where we are with that. That's gonna be quick. We can't, just keep fixing that. It's a Band-Aid. It's pretty bad shape.
Well, my memory of some earlier discussions, partly it was getting tangled with the Lyman Morse thing. And I remember the thought was, well, we want to Band-Aid it because we don't know what that area looks like or doesn't look like.
Exactly.
But just yesterday, I thought, well, how long are we gonna
How long's the mandate?
hold off before? Because anytime you say, well, this is what we'd like to do, you still got.
Have you got
Like 2
any
years.
quotes for what it would cost for just new concrete slabs, those sections?
Yeah, I think it was like 50,000 or 40,000 to, don't quote me on that. But I remember it was pretty cheap to get that fixed, installed, yeah, before we come in and do it. I mean, he was getting busy and I said to him, I don't know if we're gonna do this, so don't put up my docket. This was a month ago, and then I was like, we're just gonna fix this and let this work for this summer. We rebuilt 4 of the steamboat landing floats. I've started putting away, I think it's $40,000 a year was hoping I can get those to last 2-3 years, so then I can pull the trigger and get new floats.
So the ones that have 2 or 3 feet of clearly Band-Aid on it, are those Band-Aids expected to last a year or 5 years?
Another good question. So I can't really, I'm not, without taking too much time. We took that up and we found a real inherent weakness in the design. I shouldn't say that. They're great floats. They're brick shit.
Yeah, up to 20 years.
Pardon my French. Basically what happened was that the threaded rod had dwindled away to nothing and then broke. And that threaded rod was holding these big angle irons in place, which are 90% of the strength. So we actually drilled new holes because not only were the rods break, but they egged out the wood underneath this big thing because of the motion. So we drilled new holes and I believe, because I'm not an engineer, but I can look at something, I think that's gonna last pretty long. As long as we keep ahead of it, make sure they don't get loose from the waves.
Cool, thank you. All right, moving on, finishing up the agenda, Sophie actually mentioned it, that June 28th is the workshop, I believe it is, with the select board and the planning board. And she's asked me to attend that. So that's where we will discuss a lot of topics. The peer, status of the peer moratorium and our report will also be discussed at that meeting. And I would assume that moving forward from that is when we'll get a little more guidance on sort of what if anything, we should do. Other than that, that is pretty much the only thing on our long range. Did I miss anything, Sophie?
No, I just had one last question for Pixley before I go. I'm sorry, about the channel markers. Steve, did you have a chance to? I haven't looked at them. Did you have a chance to change them?
Yes. It's, what had happened was one of the red balls, its anchor broke free, so it drifted over, and it was too close to that one of those docks.
Case up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, we already changed that. That's already looking good.
Sweet.
Thank you so much.
Fluid channel. Movable channel.
Yeah.
It's a virtual. It's a virtual channel now. It's like.
All right, if nothing else, we don't need a motion to adjourn, actually. So, thank you all for coming. And, next meeting, let's do the next meeting real quick.
Do we have a motion to recommend? Did we vote on that? Or do
We already
need
did.
to? Yeah, we did.
We did.
You did. Okay.
Our next meeting will be, so this is our July meeting. Which, I did want to say, I do need to go back to Tuesdays. We had shifted to Wednesdays for a little while here, for our Harbor Committee meetings. I do need to go back to Tuesdays. So I told everybody, I think that's gonna work for everyone. We'll still do 8 o'clock. So we would do the second Tuesday, which would be the 11th of July. Is that working for everybody?
Josh, would, our, thing happen automatically through the select board agenda? That's something you need?
I will check. Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be automatically on there, won't it? So
It won't be. I'll talk to Audra so that we put it on the agenda of the select board.
Wait, put it on your calendar.
It's next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, guys. Okay, so next meeting is July 11th. 0800 in this.
Chairperson, next agenda item, for next time we meet
Yes, sir.
Let's just put in your caps again. I would like to formally discuss the new Inner Harbor float that I want to put in now that the Grace Bailey is gone. I told you that Mike McKendrick and Dennis, who own the Angelico, were always kind of like, well, geez, it's kind of tight for me to, if you're gonna put another one in there. And now that the Grace Bailey's gone, I've looked at it with all the other people, and it makes sense to put another Inner Harbor float.
Okay, can you, put that on the
Put the
agenda.
agenda in, and I'll have an overview map and show you that, you know, I can even probably take a going by, because it's the only reason don't have one in there right now, so. We'll invite Dennis and
Budget for that too? How much? New.
Let's do that, let's do all that the next one, let's.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll talk
we'll
about
get
it.
we'll buy
Yeah,
that.
we'll talk about all.
No, I'm gonna give that to people on the list, it's not gonna cost us.
Thank you, Sophie.
Oh, it's not gonna be a town.
Thank you, guys.